Welcome back to Right Now Trending TV. Before we get started, I kindly ask you to please subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell for more videos. Our goal this week is to reach 1,000 subscribers, so I want to sincerely thank you all. Buckle up, America. Unfit, the psychology of Donald Trump. Catchy title, right? This documentary dives headfirst into the swirling pool of Trump's psyche and comes up with a doozy malignant narcissism. Now, I'm no shrink, but even I know that's not a compliment. The film throws around terms like paranoia, antisocial, personality disorder, and even sadism. Yikes. It paints a picture of a man whose own mind might be his scariest enemy, and America's too. But hold your horses, folks. Before we slap a diagnosis on Trump and call it a day, let's address the elephant in the room. Is it even ethical to psychoanalyze someone from afar, especially a public figure? The American Psychiatric Association says no with their fancy Goldwater rule. More on that later. Still, Unfit makes you wonder. If a president's mental state is a ticking time bomb, shouldn't someone be allowed to yell fire? Let's get one thing straight. I'm not Trump's biggest fan. Okay, that's an understatement. The man's hair alone could send a therapist into an existential crisis. But even I gotta admit, diagnosing someone without ever meeting them feels icky. It's like judging a book by its cover, except the cover is a Twitter feed full of all caps rants and misspelled insults. Unfit argues it's not that simple. They say they're not diagnosing, they're observing. And boy, is there a lot to observe. Years of speeches, interviews, and yes, tweets provide a treasure trove of, shall we say, unpresidential behavior. The film rounds up a panel of experts, psychologists, lawyers, even former Trump insiders, who claim his behavior goes way beyond tell it like it is straight talk. This is textbook narcissism, they say, and it's dangerous. So, are these experts brave whistleblowers or armchair quarterbacks playing doctor with the fate of the free world? Honestly, I'm not sure. But the question alone is enough to keep you up at night. You decide. Here's the thing about mental health. We're all quick to talk about it until it's time to actually talk about it. We slap on awareness ribbons and post inspirational quotes, but when someone actually acts out, we recoil in fear and judgment. The psychologists in Unfit argue they have a duty to warn. See, there's this rule, a bit like doctor-patient confidentiality, but for potential victims, that says if a therapist believes their client might hurt someone, they gotta speak up. The filmmakers say Trump's behavior, his impulsiveness, his disregard for facts, it's all a danger to the country. They believe staying silent would be a betrayal of their oath. But here's the counterpoint. What if they're wrong? What if this is all just political grandstanding, disguised as concern? Trump's opponents have been calling him crazy since day one. Is this documentary any different? It's a tough call, and frankly, I'm glad I'm not the one who has to make it. Remember that Goldwater rule I mentioned? It's like the therapist's code of silence for public figures. In the 60s, shrinks decided it was unethical to diagnose politicians from afar after declaring Barry Goldwater unfit for office. Unfit basically says, screw that rule. We live in the age of information overload. Trump's life is an open book, or rather an open Twitter feed. We've got hours of footage, thousands of tweets, more than enough to make a diagnosis. And you know what? Part of me agrees. In the past, mental health was this taboo subject. Now we're encouraged to talk about it. So why should our leaders be exempt? On the other hand, if we start diagnosing presidents based on their public personas, where does it end? Will every sneeze be analyzed for signs of weakness? Every outburst a sign of impending meltdown? It's a slippery slope, folks. Trump's actions speak louder than words or tweets. Let's be real, folks. Trump's behavior has been, shall we say, unorthodox. The man's got an ego bigger than the Trump Tower and a relationship with the truth that's complicated. They dig up clips of Trump contradicting himself, lashing out at critics, and making impulsive decisions. Remember when he stared directly at the solar eclipse or suggested injecting bleach to cure COVID? When the leader of the free world acts like a toddler, throwing a tantrum, it's concerning. Look, I'm not saying Trump's the first president with a few screws loose. History's full of leaders with their own quirks and demons. Lincoln battled depression. JFK had Addison's disease, and don't even get me started on Nixon. But here's the thing. Unfit argues Trump's different. This isn't just a touch of melancholy or a penchant for paranoia. This is a perfect storm of narcissistic traits, amplified by the power of the presidency, that creates a uniquely dangerous situation. They argue his need for adoration, his inability to handle criticism, his impulsiveness. It all adds up to a presidency teetering on the brink of chaos. Is it fair to compare Trump to past presidents? Maybe, maybe not. But it does raise an important question. How much should we tolerate from our leaders in the name of mental health? And when does a diagnosis become less about stigma and more about national security? Let's be honest. Unfit isn't going to change anyone's mind about Trump. His supporters will call it a witch hunt. His detractors will nod along in smug agreement. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. This documentary isn't about delivering a definitive diagnosis. It's about sparking a conversation. It's about asking tough questions about the role of mental health in leadership, about the limits of presidential power, and about our responsibility as citizens to hold our leaders accountable, not just for their policies, but for their well-being. Unfit might make you uncomfortable. It might make you angry. It might even make you laugh. Come on, the man's a walking, talking cartoon. But hopefully, it will also make you think. And in these crazy, mixed up times, that's a win in my book. What are your thoughts about this video? Jot your opinion down below in the comments. If you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. And again, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell for more videos. Until next time, ciao.